sees it off to a flying start. Briggs won both heats, shadowed by teammate Grant McCleary. Round 3 and 4 of the championship moved to Kyalami, with Briggs continuing where he left off at AA Kyalami with another brace of wins. Briggs suffered his first defeat in rounds 5 and 6 at Aldo Scribanti, with the Opel driver sharing wins with Dion Joubert in the BMW Envirocar. Rounds 7 and 8 back at AA Kyalami saw Terry Moss in the Rothmans Audi swap wins with Mike Briggs, who crashed in the wet in round 8. Moss then held off Rainmaster Cyril van der Merwe in the Sassel Ford Mondeo. Opel maintained an unbeaten record at the Swartkops Raceway in rounds 9 and 10. Another double gave Mike Briggs a tight hold on the AA Fleetcare Championship. Miserable weather dominated rounds 11 and 12 at Kyalami. Toyota's Mike White took the opening race, with Briggs bagging win number 9 in the second race. It was the turn of Grant McCleary in the second Opel Vectra to win in East London. After playing second fiddle to Briggs all season, McCleary shared wins with Dion Joubert in the BMW Envirocar in rounds 13 and 14 of the AA Fleetcare Championship. Put on your helmets and fasten your seatbelts, because it's time for the action-packed AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship. 7 manufacturers and some of the best drivers in the world clash head-on in a formula which has taken world motor racing by storm. The AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship, Africa's most exciting racing formula. Championship leader Mike Briggs went to AA Kyalami for rounds 15 and 16 of the AA Fleetcare Championship, needing 11 points to clinch the title. Opel and BMW each occupied 2 positions in the top 5, with Kersey Swanepoel still leading Class B. The championship position helped add a little tension to the AA Fleetcare Super Touring events at the Gestetner National Race Day at AA Kyalami on July the 8th. There was also a little tension where newly appointed Super Touring clerk of the course, Steve Harding, was concerned.
The role is very simply one of ensuring that the rules are adhered to. And that means looking very carefully at every incident that takes place during a race and making a decision as to whether there was a contravention of the rules and taking appropriate action if there was a contravention.
Mike Briggs put the Opel Vectra on pole position for round 15, sharing the front row of the grid with Dion Joubert. Grant McCleary was alongside current South African champion Sean van der Linde on row 2. Toyota teammates Anthony Taylor and Mike White shared row 3. Cyril van der Merwe and BP Nissan rising star Janelle de Villiers were on row 4. And Nick Duval and Steve Wyndham completed the top 10. Stay tuned for more AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship action. The biggest field of AA Fleetcare Super Touring cars this season is ready to go in a race that could go a long way towards deciding the championship. Mike Briggs needs 11 points to clinch the title, and the current series leader looks to have got away first. Briggs has got the start he wanted, with Sean van der Linde, Dion Joubert and Grant McCleary slotting in behind him. It looked as though there was contact between the 2 BP Nissans and they got away from the line. Through the Nashua complex for the first time, and Briggs leads van der Merwe and Joubert, with McCleary 4th. Taylor is 5th, de Villiers 6th, with the second BP Nissan sandwiched between the 2 Sassel Ford Mondeos. This is a high-speed super touring train with Mike Briggs in the driving seat early on. A gap has already opened up between the Class A and B cars, with Duncan Voss leading the Class B brigade through Goodyear Sweep and into Goodyear Corner. Race cam action from Mike White's Minolta Camry. This is Goodyear Corner, and the Camry has made contact with one of the Audis. It's Chris Aberdeen, and White heads off into the gravel trap. Aberdeen is stranded in the middle of the circuit, with the rest of the field taking evasive action. If Aberdeen can't get going again, this race could be stopped. The leading bunch of cars are piling into West Bank for the first time, with the race order unchanged. Briggs leads the 2 BMWs, McCleary and Taylor. And as they charge down the Caltex mine shaft, let's take a look at a replay of the coming together between Mike White and Chris Aberdeen at Goodyear Corner. The South African Touring Car Association has announced a clampdown on driver discipline, and TOCA chairman Graham Duxbury and Super Touring clerk of the course Steve Harding might want a word or two with Mike White after that little incident. White has parked the Toyota, so that is the end of his race, but there's plenty of action up front as the leaders approach the end of lap 1. Briggs still leads Van der Linde, Joubert and McCleary, with Taylor fifth. And de Villiers' Nissan is already carrying battle scars, and in the background it looks as though there was contact between Nick de Waal and Steve Wyndham, with the Nissan into the gravel trap at the AA King. The end of lap 1, and a good scrap is brewing between Janil de Villiers in the BP Nissan Sentra and the two Sassel Ford Mondeos, with Cyril van der Merwe out in front of teammate Steve Wyndham. De Villiers is 6th, Superman 7th and Wyndham 8th. Behind them, another interesting duel is developing with Marco dos Santos in the Scanmo VW Jetta out in front of Terry Moss's Works Rothmans Audi. And that won't please Moss or the team from Uitenhage, who already have seen Chris Aberdeen punted out of contention. Behind Moss, the Class B battle is still being led by Duncan Foss in the Accord Nissan Sentra. Foss looks to have sorted out the Nissan's reliability problems, and he picked up 2 wins at the last Super Touring outing in East London. Championship leader Kersey Swanepoel has slotted in behind Voss, with Leon Marie 3rd in the Bankfin Toyota Sprinter and Hein Larchen 4th in the motor-built VW Jetta. Whoops, and Kersey Swanepoel has gone onto the dirt exiting Goodyear Corner, and that will drop him down at least 2 places, with Larchen also having a go at Marie on the first of the Rothmans S's. There are little battles developing all over the circuit, and this is one of them as Grant McCleary chases after Dion Joubert's BMW Envirocar. This is the scrap for 3rd and 4th, with the Havilene sweep taken flat out in 6th before it's hard on the brakes for the hairpin at the AA Super Bowl. Mike Briggs still leads Van der Linde, Joubert, McCleary and Taylor, but hasn't managed to break away from the BMWs. Janil de Villiers is holding off 2 Sassel Ford Mondeos, and there's an interesting race cam shot from Sean van der Linde's BMW Envirocar. Across the line they go, and Dion Joubert is challenging Sean van der Linde for 2nd place as they sweep into the total curve. Joubert looks to have slipped through on the inside, and one of the BP Nissans is in the pits. That looks to be Nick de Waal's car, with the right front wheel at the centre of attention, and at the halfway mark the race order is Briggs, Joubert, McCleary and Taylor, who's having a fine drive in the Castrol Toyota Camry. Now there's a loyal fan. The flag isn't all that big, but it gets across her message, and her favourite is out in front, and that's all that matters. Mike Briggs is ahead of Dion Joubert, and reigning Super Touring champion Sean van der Linde has slipped back into 4th place behind Grant McCleary's Opel Vectra on lap 7 out of 12. Caltex mineshaft is the fastest section of the circuit, with the Super Touring cars hitting in excess of 200 k's an hour. And Briggs has lost it! Race and championship leader Mike Briggs is sliding off the circuit and bang, contact with the tyre barrier at the AA Super Bowl. Drama as Briggs spins out, and Janil de Villiers comes hurtling through Briggs' dust with the BP Nissan all out of shape, and that was a close shave. We have a new race leader. Mike Briggs has crashed, and Dion Joubert leads round 15 of the AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship and is under pressure from Grant McCleary. What drama at AA Kyalami, and now we have a race on our hands. Mike Briggs looked to be on track for 9 more championship points when he slid off the circuit at the Havilene sweep. Michael won't clinch the AA Fleetcare Championship at this meeting, and now Dion Joubert leads Grant McCleary as we take another look at Mike Briggs sliding off at the Havilene sweep. The back of the car just got away from him. There must be oil on the circuit, with Janil de Villiers also sliding off. But what a magnificent piece of driving from de Villiers to get the BP Nissan through the AA Super Bowl in one piece. He almost whacked the stationary Opel, and that would have been disaster. And Briggs is back in the pits, and the damage to the car doesn't look too severe. Back to the action at the front of the field, where Dion Joubert in the BMW Envirocar now leads Grant McCleary in the 2nd Opel Vectra. There's a race to be won, but McCleary and Joubert are also 2nd and 3rd in the championship, and the BMW Envirocar driver has already beaten the Opels twice this season. He'd love to do it again, but McCleary is going to make him fight all the way. Joubert leads McCleary up the Rothmans Hill towards West Bank Corner. Anthony Taylor in the Castrol Toyota Camry has moved into 3rd place ahead of Sean van der Linde, who obviously has a tyre problem and can find himself coming under pressure from Janil de Villiers, who somehow managed not to drop a place when he almost crashed out along with Mike Briggs. This is the Havilene sweep, where de Villiers and Briggs had their big moments, and there's a slower car ahead. It's Leon Marie in the bank Pinto, the sprinter, and he has plenty of experience and moves over to let the leaders through. Dion Joubert has his headlights on to warn back markers the race leaders are on their way. Race distance is running out, and it could boil down to a question of who has looked after his tyres better. Sean van der Linde looks to be out of the reckoning, but Anthony Taylor could be a threat, and the last couple of laps are going to be a big test of character for both Joubert and McCleary. The Opel driver will be trying to pile on the pressure, and Joubert needs to simply concentrate on driving smoothly and not make any silly mistakes. Both Joubert and McCleary are using every available centimetre of AA Kyalami circuit. There are only a couple of car lengths between the BMW and the Opel, but McCleary is not quite close enough to start forcing Joubert into taking defensive lines through corners. Joubert is still able to make use of the regular racing line, but you can bet your boots that if the need arises, he's going to make it very difficult for Grant McCleary to get past. And there is an enthralling battle going on out there, and it's a pressure cooker situation for both drivers. Grant McCleary hasn't been able to make any impression on Joubert over the last lap or two. The gap between the BMW and the Opel has stayed pretty constant, and McCleary must be getting a little worried. Race distance is rapidly slipping away. This is the last lap, and if young Grant is going to come up with a plan to snatch the lead, he's going to have to do it pretty quickly. It all looks pretty good for Dion Joubert at this stage because he's still making use of the normal racing line. McCleary just hasn't been able to get close enough to force Joubert into a costly mistake. This is just about McCleary's last chance under braking for the AA Super Bowl, but he still isn't close enough to try a move down the inside. McCleary might have one last shot at forcing his way to the front at the left-hander at Gestetner, but he needs to be closer to the BMW than he is at the moment. It looks all over for Dion Joubert. Joubert is in and out of Gestetner ahead of McCleary, and that is win number 3 this season for the BMW Envirocar driver as John Wheeler brings out the checkered flag, and Dion Joubert is one happy race driver. A terrific win for Dion Joubert ahead of Grant McCleary and Anthony Taylor. Sean van der Linde, Janil de Villiers and Sarel van der Merwe are also in the points, with Duncan Voss winning the Class B battle ahead of Hein Latergan. Up on the podium is where every race driver longs to be. Dion Joubert's win edges him closer to Grant McCleary in the championship, and he'll be happy with that after a tough race.
I must say, I can't remember when last I had such a hard race. Grant was being very clever behind me and keeping full of staying fully in my mirrors, but I'm very pleased to have won. Thank you.
The AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship action continues. The new Super Touring qualifying system saw Sean van der Linde on pole for round 16 ahead of Mike Briggs. Grant McCleary's Opel Vectra was alongside the Dion Joubert BMW on row 2. Anthony Taylor and Sarel van der Merwe shared the 3rd row. Steve Wyndham and Mike White were on the 4th row. And Janil de Villiers and Chris Aberdeen rounded out the top 10. Good news at the start of round 16 of the AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship is that Mike Briggs is out there with the rest of the field after his round 15 accident, but he hasn't managed to beat Sean van der Linde off the line. Van der Linde leads the pack into the total curves, and Nissan is in trouble. Janil de Villiers is off at the first corner, and there was a mad scramble to avoid the spinning Nissan. That's a dreadful start to the race for de Villiers and Nissan as the cars head up the hill towards Nashua Corner. The setting sun is a problem for the drivers as Sean van der Linde leads the pack through Nashua and onto the old pit straight, with the reigning South African champion still looking for his first win this season. Briggs and McCleary are right on the BMW's tail, with Taylor 4th and round 15 winner Dion Joubert in 5th place. The race program is running a little late, and the setting sun won't be doing the drivers any favours at Nashua and the Goodyear sweep. Dion Joubert is up to 4th place in the BMW. He caught Anthony Taylor napping a Goodyear corner, and the race cam mounted on the side of the Castrol Toyota Camry provided a superb shot of Joubert nipping through on the inside. This is the view from the race cam as Sean van der Linde leads the pack into West Bank Corner for the first time. Van der Linde leads Briggs, McCleary, teammate Joubert, Taylor and Steve Wyndham is up into 6th in the Sassel Ford Mondeo after retiring from round 15. Sean van der Linde leads the charge into Abilene Corner, where Briggs crashed in round 15. Briggs closes right up on van der Linde under braking for the AA Super Bowl hairpin, and is right on van der Linde's tail up the hill towards the AA kink. The race leader is under enormous pressure early on from Briggs. More superb race cam shots from the Taylor Castrol Camry. An awful lot of oil has been deposited on the circuit throughout the day, and there is plenty of cement dust. It makes life tricky for the drivers, but van der Linde has a major problem on his hands. Briggs is looking for a way past the BMW and is taking McCleary and Joubert with him. Into the total curves with the De Villiers Nissan still parked in the gravel trap, and that could be a problem if anyone goes off on the inside of the circuit. Racecam action is from the Joubert BMW as he chases Grant McCleary's Opel Vectra up the slide hill towards Nashua Corner. The Nashua complex is tricky at the best of times, and the setting sun doesn't help. Sean van der Linde is still holding off the two Opels, with Joubert fourth and locked in battle once again with Grant McCleary. Anthony Taylor is looking solid in fifth, with Steve Wyndham sixth in the Sassel Ford Mondeo. There are problems for Terry Moss as he brings the Rothmans Audi into the pits, and at the halfway mark, the race order is van der Linde leading from Briggs and McCleary in the Opel Vectras. Dion Joubert is fourth in the second BMW, with Anthony Taylor fifth in the Castrol Toyota Camry. And Mike Briggs is swarming all over van der Linde at the AA Super Bowl. Briggs is making his move for the lead and is the momentum out of the hairpin to force his way ahead of van der Linde on the climb up the AA kink. Van der Linde is fighting back, and here come McCleary and Joubert. This is desperate dance stuff. Joubert looked to miss a gear as they came out of Gestetner, with Grant McCleary powering his way back into third place. Anthony Taylor in the Castrol Camry has also closed right up on the battle for third and fourth. Mike Briggs is back where he's been for most of the season, and that is out in front in a Super Touring race. But Sean van der Linde, Grant McCleary and Dion Joubert are not letting him get away from them, and Taylor is also hanging in there. Racecam action from Class B leader Duncan Voss in the Accord Nissan Sentra. Voss is having a good run with 3 wins in a row, and he looks to be well on the way to making it 4 on the trot. Voss is out in front of championship leader Kersey Swanepoel, and if the order stays as it is, he'll move to within 7 points of the Cape Town driver. And problems for Nick de Waal. An action replay as de Waal tangles with Mike White in the total curves. It hasn't been a happy day for White, who picked up a £2,000 fine for his role in the Aberdeen incident at Goodyear Corner in round 15. If Mike White has had a day to forget, Mike Briggs will be back on top of the world. The championship leader crashed in round 15, but this is the last lap of round 16, and Briggs is cruising to his 26th victory in Super Touring racing. He's shaken off the attentions of Sean van der Linde and teammate Grant McCleary, and another 9 points are in the bag for Briggs. There are just 2 more corners for Mike Briggs to negotiate, and victory moves him a step closer to clinching this year's AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship. With 4 races left this season, Briggs now needs only 3 points to grab his second touring car title in 3 years. Sean van der Linde will be second, but a new champion looks certain to be crowned in East London next month as John Wheeler brings out the checkered flag. Victory number 10 this season for Mike Briggs underlines his dominance with the Opel, and BMW teams again involved in great battles. Anthony Taylor is again in the points with a double in Class B for Duncan Voss, who is now just 7 points behind Kersey Swanepoel in the championship. The winner's rostrum is a regular stopping off point for Mike Briggs these days, but winning is always great.
Yeah, you know, as we said the first time around, that it can work for you and work against you. This time it certainly suited me, having the 2 qualifying sessions. And I think overall it's better for everybody because it's fairer. That's why you don't have really quick cars stuck at the back of the grid for some strange reason. So yes, the gods didn't shine kindly on me in the first race today, but good to come through and win the second.
AA Fleetcare is proud of its association with Audi, BMW, Ford, Nissan, Opel, Toyota, and the action-packed SA Super Touring Championship. The AA Fleetcare Super Touring Championship, Africa's most exciting racing formula.